Hello, hello, my beloved waking gods and goddesses. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Love, Truth, and Beauty. Do it yourself or divine in the flesh. Now with replays on IGTV at dakini.kiss, where together we learn how to surf and navigate the ups and downs of the totality of human experience, composing a new earth beyond the limitations of this perception-managed reality matrix of five senses, having discovered our true divine creative natures in our true sensual sensorial world of seven senses, creating formless into form. Before we get started, please do give this video a thumbs up. Please also hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, selecting the all setting so that when I upload, the YouTube will let you know. I generally upload Tuesdays and Fridays, 2 p.m. Eastern. My name is Maria West, and I am your hostess of the highest, here to download, upload, inspire, and usher you into your bestest and brightest light, your bestest and brightest selves, and inviting you all to open your hearts wider and wider and wider still. Hello, my darlings. Welcome to episode 82, part 1 of our continuing conversation on conscious sexuality, having exited the matrix. That is, no longer any of us following or adhering to any automated scripts and behaviors and programs of sexual enslavement as promulgated by the powers that want to be within the matrix. And specifically today, I will be sharing a do-it-yourself journaling and clearing exercise that dissolves and heals the intense collective pain body from the energetic, sexual, psychic, physical, you name it, deposits and projections of past lovers. That's right, the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay, and I would like to start with some brief readings from my book, Eft Wide Open, The Rude Awakening of the Heart-Based New Humanity. And anyways, I've got it here. Let's see, can you see that? Okay, it's beautiful. If you want a copy, check out my links below, and we'll just take it from there. Okay, so let's talk about objectifying the goddess, all right? Tabloid blogs and online social media constantly feed starstruck consumers with the dirty laundry, relationship woes, and rehab dilemmas of celebrities, politicians, and spiritual leaders, and other famous people. And let's not forget the media's fixation on exploiting women as sexual objects, which is not only entertainment, but big business in the hundreds of billions and perhaps trillions of dollars. At its most basic level, the enormous financial success of pornography, whether online, and this includes the dark net, dark web, and also sex clubs, massage parlors, strip clubs, and global government religious sanctioned sex slavery, human trafficking. This is a testament to the demands of the unconscious man and her appetite for sexual entertainment at the expense of women and her children. Now, mind you, unconscious man also resides in unconscious woman, all right? Women all over the world who are still mind-controlled to seek an inflated sense of self through collective unconscious male affirmation rather than real love and real esteem, and reclaiming their worth, internally become more and more unwitting puppets of the patriarchy, matriarchy polarity, and voluntarily line up by the millions to parade in front of the world as the latest objects of sexual desire and perceived adoration, only to be easily replaced by the next selections. Ironically, on a cosmic spiritual level, it is man's natural desire to worship woman as the goddess and all forms of the feminine, and woman's deepest yearning as goddess to be worshipped and seen as beauty and light by man, that is all forms of the masculine, that fuels the seemingly unconscious obsessive compulsion in both man and woman to participate in prostitution, sex slavery, and all forms of pornography and sex work. The only real difference between a man paying to have sex with a prostitute, who, by the way, is an incarnation of the goddess, so please check your judgments, and man making love with his beloved woman or feminine essence partner, okay, or between a strip club and an ancient goddess temple of worship, is the embodiment of consciousness within everyone's heart, mind, body, and soul. Whether you call it sex, fucking, or making love, the pull of sexual union has its anchoring on their level of spiritual cosmic realms. The participants either know this or they don't, depending on their level of consciousness and awareness within and outside of the matrix. Years ago, as a professional exotic and Middle Eastern dancer and performer, I was highly conscious of the immense pleasure and power I harnessed and expressed through my body, and how those divine energies were received and perceived by my, at times, predominantly male audience. I witnessed men and women falling to their knees, eyes wet with devotion, and intensely feeling the love and worship of the goddess herself directed toward the she in me. The experience for myself was profoundly spiritual and erotic, and yet so much guilt and shame was thrown into the mix by both men and women, along with the judgment and sanctimonious holier than thou attitudes. I experienced a handful of disturbing experiences with men who were particularly triggered by my ethnicity and took it upon themselves to hurl their rage and expletives at me with extreme gusto. I eventually realized that the energetic feeding frenzy of desire from my audience for my physical form, whether generated from innocence and admiration, sexual deviance, or from negative thought forms and psychic entity attachments hopped up on drugs and alcohol, proved to be more than manageable for myself. So you must imagine the enormity of the collective energetic frequencies derived from unconscious sexual entertainment, from the basest of emotional reactivity, of guilt, shame, humiliation, or anger and judgment, to an insatiable lust that degenerates into thoughts and fantasies of sexual perversion, physical violent assault, and torture. I learned to energetically clear and clean myself up after each performance and repeatedly practice this ritual of spiritual energetic hygiene, or I would suffer the consequences of bringing various members of my audience along with their lust and entities home with me to wreak havoc. My very first energy mastery reality creation workshop was designed for performing artists wanting to go stealth and shield themselves from intrusive energy projections from their audience and to enhance their performance abilities. Okay, so my last video, and I'm going to stick it up there at the end of this video, I made the statement that we are all programmed to be sex slaves from the moment we are conceived. And given our historical, tribal, religious, media, societal programs and influences, it is not surprising that most of us are confused when it comes to sexuality and love. If love is potentially so tragic, why bother? Why not settle for just no strings attached sex? Why not settle for just being a sex object of desire? Isn't any attention better than none? Why not fuck as many people as we can or abstain forever? Why not remain in the shallow? I get these questions all the time. Why not? Because, my loves, it is not what we really want. It's not what we're truly yearning and aching for. We are being called to something deeper, greater, and sweeter. And whether you're a man or a woman, you know this is true. Sexual empowerment and sexual promiscuity are often confused as the same thing. While While both can generate the same feelings of disease, dissatisfaction, and or emptiness once the high of a great makeout session or orgasm wears off, sexual empowerment is based on choice rather than dysfunction. And many of today's young women already realize that acting like sex-obsessed men who hook up with everyone in sight maybe isn't a good idea after all. Maybe sexual freedom and sexual empowerment are really just fancy names for unsatisfying, indiscriminate sex that leaves them feeling depressed, empty, exhausted, and longing for a real connection, for real love. Now, the experts who study sexual biochemistry and neurochemistry lead us to believe that we are just simple drones to our body's innate chemistry and gender. But, even seemingly unconscious men feel like something is truly missing. They're just not yet self-aware enough to articulate what that something is. Now, whether we hold on to our predetermined roles to secure the status quo of men taking care of women, or take ourselves out of relationship possibilities altogether and into isolation, or even endeavor to create relationships based on equality with our like-hearted, like-minded partners, we all know something is fucking missing. And at some point, while sleepwalking aimlessly through the gap between isolation and love-based sexual connections, some of us are shaken awake. Divine providence shines down in a poignant, conscious moment of clarity. Woman's body and responses are a physical and sexual mirror to man's. Our vaginas, our yonis, actually mimic a very hard penis, rigid and at times desensitized in its need for harsh, over-the-top stimulation and violent penetration. As women, we often mistake such harshness for passion. But deep down, we know something's off and out of balance. The pain and detachment of fast, rough sex is synonymous to the phenomenon of cutting, or so I've been told by many women and many men. The sight of blood pouring from a self-inflicted wound blatantly reminds us that perhaps at least we might feel something, maybe. My sister goddesses frequently share that their deeply embedded grief, triggered and released through core level sobbing and kriyas, that is, outward bodily manifestations of spontaneous kundalini energy movements, resulted from opening through the tender touch and slow, gentle, deep, penetrating lovemaking of conscious man. I, too, have personally experienced this bittersweet outpouring of deep sorrow and relieved elation in the presence of conscious man, not from his sexual technique, but from his meeting me in the real, unhurried and deep, where time becomes timeless. My personal journey also has illuminated my own empowerment of sustaining and supporting the continuing unraveling of the painful tensions and traumas of my past caught in my body and tissues. As with all women, we are all required to gently discover and heal through our own embodied inner masculine as he, in service to the inner feminine, consciously and lovingly opens our hearts and yonis to receive. Okay? And if there is any unconsciousness or energetic distortions, he, that is the feminine within, won't engage your opening because he protects and serves her. Does that make sense? The truth is that the pain we feel isn't just a result of the aggressive penetration of an unconscious penis pounding away, but actually the closure of our yonis, our second hearts as women, from the cumulative energies dumped into us from unconscious sex, and also the result of not being fully loved up and opened by a conscious man or conscious masculine essence in gay, lesbian, or bisexual, transgender coupling, okay? Only he. This includes woman's own inner masculine who's tuned into her inner feminine's desires and yearning, has the power to take on and dissolve her entire past held inside her deepest of sacred places. Many of us discover that even if we could achieve earth-shattering, mind-blowing orgasms generated within our own erotic fantasy and imagination, or the result of opening to the promise of love through a skillful lover, we would still continue to feel disturbed, upset, dirty, frustrated, sad, depressed, unfulfilled, or just plain used when the high of immense pleasure wears off. How can this be? What the fuck is wrong? We ask ourselves the same questions every time the empty feelings arise. The questions and feelings can be blown off or ignored, but sooner or later, we are just confronted with a need to step back and reflect upon what it is that we are doing to ourselves. Reality check. We have all taken on the energy signatures of every person we've ever had sex with, along with every person they've had sex with as well. Yeah, okay, you do the applied mathematics on that one and face the truth. But I want you to do so, my loves, without guilt, without shame, without judgment. Hold yourselves in tenderness and love. We love our stories of the past and we simultaneously hate them. Sometimes we defend those stories, upholding them to the death. We're filled with everything from longing to anger, frustration, guilt, shame, from self-hate to lust that can't be quelled, quenched, or satisfied. We allowed ourselves to engage in unconscious sex with unconscious man, unconscious woman, repeatedly and intentionally, and to embody unconscious woman because we wanted attention. We wanted any kind of attention. We wanted her adoration, devotion, and love. We thought unconscious sex would dampen down the nervous, frenetic energy entrapping us. Perhaps we thought it was love or would bring us closer to love, to him. He promised he was love. He promised it was love. Maybe he's the one. So we just try one more time. Maybe if we don't be so quick to judge him. On the awakened side, maybe we're finally fed up and just withdraw from the whole scene. Maybe it's time to step back and reflect on healing without shutting down our hearts and our yonis. Perhaps we can remain open and hopeful by looking deeply beyond the wounds in our hearts, including our yonis and our body, minds, and into the divine. Part of the inner work for woman is about woman getting to know her own inner feminine and masculine. And through this core collaboration, foundational relationship, woman gets to know every inch, nook, and cranny of her body, mind, and the wisdom of her heart and yoni. This work is deeply intimate, gentle, and slow, as is man's. And so unconscious woman awakens and embodies her divinity, giving rise to conscious woman who now ascends, takes flight, and dances in the sky. She is the female embodiment of enlightened energy. She dances, she is form, sky dancing through the formless. And so the healing begins when she decides to consciously descend and fully incarnate into form, fully embodying her life as the physical expression of conscious woman to match up to conscious man who awaits after doing his own deep inner work as he has suffered too in his quest to dissolve his own programming of perpetrator unconsciousness, regardless of whether you are a man or woman. Here is my how to do it yourself clearing and healing of ex-lovers that you can do. Okay, so you're going to be putting aside private time, at least several hours. You're going to create a sacred union altar with any talismans, crystals, meaningful symbols, cards. Light a candle. Make a list of everyone you've had sex with, whether you were a willing participant or not. So yes, include any sexual assaults, anything like that. And I want you to allow the various feelings and thoughts to arise, and I want you to record them. After you make your list, you're going to take a few moments with each name and you're going to send them love, blessings, and appreciation and gratitude, for they have contributed to the person that you are now. I want you to journal about what arises for each name, and I want you to keep writing until you feel complete. And if you can't remember their name, journal about what comes up from that. If the thoughts and feelings that arise are uncomfortable and unpleasant, imagine a beam of pure electric violet light emanating from your center, your heart, into the planet. Allow these feelings to connect to this beam of pure electric violet light penetrating our planet Gaia, and allow our planet Gaia to transform those feelings and thoughts into healing energy for one and all. Send out the energy of love and acceptance and forgiveness to everyone on this list who triggers bad feelings within you or for whom you harbor a grievance. Remember that any unfinished business keeps you apart from your true nature. Express your pain and process through creativity, paint, sculpture, write, sing, play music, dance, etc. Remember that creativity often is inspired and expressed during times of challenge and deep emotional suffering. Journal freely about what attracted you to particular lovers. You know, those beautiful ones, what you received from them, and what you gifted them. Journal freely about lovers who repulsed you, dissolving any guilt or intense feelings of shame that may arise. Journal freely about lovers who confused you. These are the lovers you felt attracted to, repulsed by, and or with whom you experienced intense sexual arousal and pleasure, perhaps addiction. The intent of these exercises is to dissolve and unravel any guilt, shame, and self-judgment around those erotic experiences. This particular set of journaling exercises frees up an inordinate amount of energy stuck in your body cells and tissues and opens and relaxes your hearts and yonis and phalluses. Remember to burn your journals. Be gentle with yourself. Easy does it. And feel free to reach out to me. Okay, my darlings, that is my speech. Do give this video a thumbs up. Please comment about your experiences in the comments box below or in private. Let me know how you are doing with this. Let me know if you have any questions. Please share this video with your communities, friends, and family members and social media platforms, and with folks with whom you feel would benefit from this content. Please help me grow this channel by subscribing and hitting the notification bell, selecting the all settings so that when I upload the YouTube will let you know. And if you find value or benefit from my videos and content, won't you please consider supporting my work through a donation? My PayPal link is right below, along with my link tree that connects you with all my stuff and the different ways that you can connect with me and work with me. I thank you all so much for your participation and your focused attention. I really do appreciate it. So until next time, please be the love that you are. Share your love. Always act from love. From your center screen, be creative, be kind, be helpful, be generous. Give, 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 give of your true self. Here's to love, truth, and beauty, my darlings. Mwah!